Hello, I'm the artist Michael R. Zotos, and today is August 9th, 2023. Okay, what I want to talk about right now is the audience. Okay, my opinion, I believe that you don't create artwork for an audience. You create your artwork the best that you can. Okay, you go down your own vein in art that you feel the need to create, that you want to create, and that you can do and do well. And you do it consistently, you perfect it, and pay a lot of attention to detail, and you wind up with things that other people can't do, other people won't do. Okay? And then your audience finds you. Okay? Now, I want to show three concepts here. Okay? In that vein. One is this. I live on Long Island, New York. And Long Island goes back a long way. It was settled very early in the game as far as the United States is concerned. And there are a lot of small burgs, I guess you'd call them, villages, hamlets that aren't incorporated villages, but they would go back a long way. And on each and every one of these burgs, hamlets, or villages, there's a main street with commercial properties, and there always was, it looks like. Okay, there might be a post office, banks, maybe at one point there was a blacksmith there, there were hotels, motels, whatever it is, but stores, okay, shops, and this is the main street. Now, perpendicular to Main Street in a lot of areas, there's what you would call a main road, and the main road is usually wider than the side streets and has large houses there. And these were built usually like towards the end of the 1800s into the early 1900s, and they're very nice. They have what you call nice bones to them. Okay, that means they're well constructed, and there's nice architecture and detail on them. And the point is this: over time, okay, there needed to be more commercial property, because Main Street didn't have enough room. So these houses were converted into basically business properties. They went to professionals, okay, doctors. You have a doctor who had his family in there, and then there would be like an office to the side in the house. And later on, it became more exclusive to where it's just a doctor's office. Same with dentists. Sometimes surveyors, sometimes ultimately there were lawyers, even later on real estate agencies, insurance companies, and now today that's what a lot of these buildings are. They're just basically businesses, but professional businesses. And the fact is, they're still in a village, in a hamlet. It's not a commercial office building with 50 suites in there. And it's nice. They have a certain clientele, people who like that atmosphere. They like the building, they like the people that work in there. You'll have people working in one of these buildings, maybe 6 or 8 people, their whole lives. 10 years, 15, 20, retire out of there, okay? And the clientele, the customer base, is people like myself who live in the area, and they come in and they sit in the waiting room, and they'll come across people they've known around town, around the village, all their lives. I've sat in a waiting room in a dentist, and in comes an elderly person who had been a school teacher in my school, okay, when I was in high school. And it's very nice. There was a man who was, he worked in a hardware store and helped me out quite a bit when I was like 20, 22 years old. And there's him in the waiting room. And that's very nice. People bring their neighbors, their relatives, and we become their audience. Okay. Now the second concept I want to mention is this. I have a relative who's a professional man, and I'm not going to go into what profession and whatnot. I'll just say this: there's a lot of paperwork involved, and he has an office in an office building. And I was at his office one day, and he's basically throwing out a client. Okay. And, we don't call them audiences, we don't call them customers, they're clients. And he pushes a button on the phone, and the secretary comes in, and he says, Miss Swanson, Bert here is leaving us. Could you put together his file, give him his papers, and he'll be paying the final bill on the way out. So the man leaves, and then after the fact, I said to my relative, I says, you know, you just lost a client, and you seem awfully nonchalant about it, you know. He says, yeah, so. I says, well, that's not how you build a business. He says, oh, really? He says, no, that's exactly how you build a business. He says, we take care of clients here, we do the right thing, and you know, you have to eventually weed out the clients that, you know, it's just not working, and make room for the better clients. Now, this man, he's a late payer when he pays, he says, and, you know, we have to have people come in here and bring their papers and documents and you know, like maybe in a file folder kind of thing. This man came in here about 3 weeks ago with a shoebox full of papers and receipts and garbage and wants me to sort through it. He says, I don't think so. He says, he's not my client. Let him go down the street to somebody else. Okay? And I absorbed that, and as I'm leaving, I realize, you know, maybe that's happened with me in my life. You know, I like to negotiate. Maybe I've gone too far on occasion. And somebody here or there maybe weeded me out as the client or the customer. And I'm sure it has happened. Well, you have to realize that. Not everybody's going to be your customer, okay? And, or your audience, all right? And that's just a reality of the situation. You have to make room for the better audience. Now, the third concept I want to point out is this. There's a lady who has a studio / gallery. She's an artist, a very good artist. She's about my age, so I gravitate to talking to her. And she has it going on in a village, but it's a tourist area, and it's a rural area, basically surrounding it. And she makes basically two types of paintings, as I see it. Okay. There are others, but basically she does the vineyards, the wineries, and she paints the wine groves, the grapes, the vines, the posts that they all grow on. Okay, she does a very nice job. It looks great. Okay, it's usually a big painting, maybe 4 or 5 feet wide by 2 or 3 feet high. And sometimes it looks like a close-up, and it's very nice. And the other style that she does a lot of are ocean fronts, okay? But I don't mean mostly ocean front houses. She does do some of those, but mostly it's like where the waves are breaking on the beach kind of thing. And there'll be rocks and pebbles. And again, there'll be close-ups, a big painting that looks like a close-up, and it's very interesting. But the point is, she's perfected both of these over a lot of years. She's known for these, and she has an audience. People come looking for her things. Now, here's my point. A lot of people frequent that area. It's a quaint little village. It's great, okay? But she doesn't need 100% of the people who pass by to buy her things. She's selling paintings for $15,000, okay? And she could sell probably all she makes. I'm getting the drift that maybe 2 paintings a week consistently all the time. Maybe takes 3 or 4 or 5 weeks off in the dead of the winter, which everybody needs a little downtime anyway. But other than that, she makes a really nice living concentrating on what she does best, okay? And her audience finds her.